How's it going, everybody? Welcome to an emergency edition of the Cream City Cast. Here with the bandwagon driver, the leader of the Fire Kid sensation today. It has come into action. Andrew, drop it on him.
Oh my God. I'll tell you right now, I'm so excited I can run around the streets of Los Angeles naked. Granted, I won't do that because I don't want to embarrass myself, but man, it is a great day to be a Bucks fan. Can't really say that with the last few years of mediocrity, but I think this is definitely a step into the right direction for the franchise for sure to make this move. Granted, before the All-Star break is a bit of a shocker, but I think regardless, we all knew his time was coming quickly to an end, especially with how they've been playing the last month or so.
Yep. So as of today, around 3 o'clock Central Time, Adrian Wojnarowski, a.k.a. Woj dropped the bomb on Milwaukee today that Milwaukee has fired Coach Jason Kidd, as the league sources tell him in ESPN. Bucks assistant coach Joe Prunty will be installed as interim coach tonight, and then he will be coaching, I assume, maybe the rest of the season. Also, he tweets after Bucks made move on Kidd based on, dropping into the 8th seed in the East. Frayed relationships and organization in general, non-alignment. League sources tell ESPN Bucks' job will be most sought after of offseason, largely because of Giannis. So looking at that, looking at his last statement saying about the Bucks' job being sought after in the offseason, makes me think that they're going to stick with Coach Prunty for the rest of the season. I think I find that a little shocking because I feel like you wouldn't fire Kidd unless you had someone to, I don't know, if you had someone like that already ready to go, because why do it now, I suppose. It'll be very interesting to see how the team responds to this, because it's kind of pulling in both directions. If you just think about, you go get Eric Bledsoe and you think you're going to go win. Now you're trying to do it with an assistant coach who doesn't have any experience. So the direction of this year may be a little, I don't know, indifferent, but I guess we'll see. What are your thoughts about maybe the new coach or what their plans are for this season?
Yeah, I do like just finishing out with Joe Prunty and then in the offseason just absolutely cleaning house with whoever Kidd brought over from Brooklyn. I think that's the best way to handle it. I think if you handle it by hiring a coach, by the All-Star break, I think that really sets you back a little bit, just because, you have to implement a new system and all that whole new coaching staff. And I think that would just, that'd be a really ugly scene for sure. But to me, the rest of this season, like the outlook for the Bucks, I'm not really sure how to look at it, because, this could be a shot in the arm for guys like Giannis, Bledsoe. You got Jabari Parker coming back as well. So we'll see how Joe Prunty can really change, if there's going to be any change, really. If there's anything I want, it's more Giannis at center. But in terms of future candidates, my top priority would be Mike Budenholzer. We all know he's in Atlanta right now, coaching a rebuild. But we could see what Atlanta does in the offseason. They may want to look to go into a different direction, or Bud is looking to go into a different direction. But he's definitely my candidate 1A for the Milwaukee Bucks.
I think that perhaps in getting a coach after the offseason, it would be probably a smart idea. But I can also see it in the fact where if they do go after a coach at this point, then you can start to make those changes and really take in next year with a full head of steam. And it would also give the Bucks plenty of time to evaluate who's on the team and give the new coaching staff time to say, okay, well, we don't want this guy going forward to the future, and they can make those decisions rather than, I don't know, finishing it out, I suppose. Maybe, let's be honest, systems in the NBA are very different. There's a lot of different intricacies, but it's stuff that it can be learned pretty much on the fly in my beliefs, because, you're really, basketball all in the same way, but you're changing, I guess, your offensive rhythm and sequences. But these are elite athletes and basketball players. They've played under many systems before, so it's not like they can change on the fly. I think you need to be aggressive. If you like Fizdale, or if you like Mark Jackson, or if you like anyone like that, David Blatt we spoke about earlier, I mean, I think those are really candidates that you could see them going to get now.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. You know, another name that I wouldn't be surprised to see pop up for any team in the offseason that needs a coach is assistant coach Becky Hammon. You know, she's one of the best players in WNBA history. She's currently in San Antonio under Greg Popovich. So, you know, to be heralded and held under Greg Popovich, you know, you really need to know your stuff and you need to be good at what you do. And the fact that, you know, she's working under him is really a testament to how, you know, smart and how big of a basketball savant she is. And I think it's time we have a woman coach in the NBA. So I think she's definitely going to be a sought after candidate sort of under the radar.
Yep. And like we were talking about with the interim coach, Prunty, it'll be interesting to say the least, to see if he has his own system, if he brings in, you know, some other intelligences and different schematic things, because, you know, this is Jason Kidd's guy. I mean, he's still like their coach, whether, you know, you're working under Kidd or not. So how much availability is he going to have to change things on the fly? And is he going to do it? I think that's time will tell. But I think it's important to understand that we are in the middle of the season. You know, we are not playing well at all right now, but we are going to make the playoffs. That's no question in my mind. So, you know, are you going to the playoffs and folding, or are you going and making at least try to win a series still? Because I think the narrative of this has changed.
Yeah, you know, if they can go out and win a series, you know, could be interesting to see what they do actually if Joe Prunty can lead them to the promised land. But I'm reading a tweet right now from Chris Haynes, and it says that Jason Kidd hasn't officially been told that he's been fired and that Giannis Antetokounmpo is devastated. And we know those two had a pretty close relationship, but bigger picture, you know, if there's really frayed relationship between Wes Edens, Lazary, Dinan, and Jason Kidd, you know, there's just no way you're going to survive a discord between ownership and coach. There's no way a coach can survive that.
Yep. Well, I mean, you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo is devastated, right, as you said. Interesting to see how that plays into the fact of it if he hasn't officially been told yet. I mean, obviously this wouldn't leak unless it's happening, in my opinion. But if Giannis is devastated, I mean, it's just like how it is in the NFL when getting a head coach. You bring your quarterback in, so you bring Giannis in and you let him pick, because obviously you want to have someone that you think is going to lead your team to the promised land, as you said earlier. But he is our biggest concern. He is the one we're trying to make happy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You're building your franchise around him. And what I think is sort of poetic justice for all this is, you know, we're reading that Jason Kidd hasn't been told that he's fired. If you flash back 3.5, 4 years ago, the same thing happened when the Bucks supposedly, you know, didn't fire Larry Drew and hire Jason Kidd without, you know, firing Larry Drew formally. So I'm sure Larry Drew over there is somewhere sipping on his tea, you know, like the meme, none of my business. I'm sure he's getting a kick out of this one.
Yeah. Man, this is tough. It's just all these tweets are coming in, and it's just like all this information coming at once. Like Ryan Russillo tweeted, not sure how much his relationship with Jabari factored in, but was told they weren't speaking. So, I mean, man.
Wow, that's a bombshell.
Like, that's, you look at that, I mean, that's a completely, I mean, especially with Jabari's contract situation coming up, like, that's crazy. I mean, my question is, and I think we'll start to see it unravel in the next couple of hours and maybe the next couple of days, what was really going on in the Bucks front office and with Jason Kidd and his players? Because I've been reading a couple things, you know, this hasn't been it hasn't been good. I mean, clearly by all this information that it's coming in by these sources, and man, I think that it's going to be I think it's going to be really interesting. People are tweeting for Mark Jackson. Just wow, what a bombshell.
I never would have thought that Jabari and Jason Kidd were not on speaking terms. That's ugly. I wonder what that's all about. I wonder if that has to do with management over Jabari's rehab, because I don't know if you saw earlier, there were reports out of San Antonio that Kawhi Leonard, there's a little bit of discord between him and the training staff over there and how they're handling his rehab, and he's pretty salty about it. So I wonder if, this sort of falls on the same plane or if it's something, completely different.
Yes. Man, it's tough. I mean, people, it's good. This is the bit most, honestly, this is the truest statement. This is the most important decision that the Bucks organization will have to make in this decade, at least by far, because you need to put in someone that is going to utilize all this length and talent. I mean, this is, they're right. This will be the best job of the summer, and there's no question about it. So it'll be interesting. I mean, if I would like to look into a little bit more about what the contract situations are for like Budenholzer and stuff like that, because I mean, hey, if you can get someone like that, someone from the Popovich tree, I mean, I'd be into that. I think Fizdale would be cool too, or Jackson. But, thinking about it, what I said earlier, I think we should need to take some time on this and make sure we're doing our homework here and not jumping into conclusions. Even if we hire him before the season's over, like, don't have him, start putting his foot on until the summer.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The next coach you're going to hire, this is going to be the coach that's going to lead the Bucks to the promised land. They're going to hire a coach probably on what standard 3-4 year contract, usually around 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in 3 years, we should all expect the Bucks to be contending in the Eastern Conference by that time.
Yeah.
So this is a move. This is the move right here. This could alter the face of the franchise forever, whoever they hire. And that can't be understated.
Sean Kilpatrick tweeted 2 hours ago, "God, thank you."
In all caps.
Yeah, I wonder if that's I wonder if that they knew a little bit before we did. And it's interesting to think about. The Bucks did give Jason Kidd an extension in 2016 for 3 years. Wow. I mean, this is all just stuff that's going to keep building on each other, and this is definitely the news of the day. And from this, I think we can gain that we need, I don't know. I think we need a coach. I don't think we need a player. We need a coach, because that's what I think Jason Kidd is. He knows all like the systems and all the situations, and he's probably a great practice coach, probably a fantastic practice coach. But in a game with game time situations, I think that's really like in adjustments, and I think that's where his downfall was.
Yeah, and we all know, great player, Hall of Famer, gold medal winner, all that, NBA championship. He has all the accolades, but being a player, easy for me to say since I'm just watching Bucks games on my couch. But being a player is way different than being a coach, and this is not taking away anything that Jason Kidd has accomplished in his career. But look at what happened in Brooklyn. Same thing, power struggle. He wanted some basketball operation say in what was going on in final decisions, and it looked like that boiled over here. And for me, what's really eye-opening about this is the Bucks the last 2 or so weeks. If you looked how they played, it just looked like they didn't care. There was no fire, no energy, and I believe that they started to take after the identity of Jason Kidd, because if you watch any Bucks game, you just see Jason Kidd basically sitting in the same position the whole game. So, if we want to talk about energy and effort, we start with the coach.
Yep, it really is. That's what it's going to come down to. Who they decide, like I said, will be the biggest decision. Well, the Bucks made it official on their Twitter just now, so it is official. Man, How are you feeling right now? It was your birthday a couple days ago. I mean, you must have made a wish on the candle or something for this.
You know what, Bucks Nation? My prayers have been answered. You should all thank me. No, I'm just kidding. I now that I'm thinking about it, I should have gone to Vegas or gone to one of the sports books at one of the hotels in Vegas and, see if I could put a bet on the odds of Jason Kidd being fired before the All-Star break, because I would be laughing to the bank right now.
Absolutely. Making a lot of money.
But, the sky's the limit for this Bucks team. We've been saying this forever, but now with things starting to come into a fold, you acquired Eric Bledsoe. You have Giannis, who is just taking leaps towards greatness. You have the pending return of Jabari Parker, and you also have Chris Middleton. If you implement an offensive system, we are going to see a completely different Chris Middleton. That is 100% sure.
I think that's actually a great point to bring up. There is so much offensive inefficiency. I mean, you can probably attribute 10 of the losses just to that, at least, because they just, in late games especially, they just don't know how to score. And this is not to knock Jason Kidd at all. He did what he could with this team. At the end, it wasn't necessarily his brightest moments, but for the steps that he took with Giannis, we can't deny that he did have an impact on this team in the right direction.
No, he did. We should thank Jason Kidd for some of the things that he did for the Bucks. I think he was pretty solid at player development, but, in terms of when it came down to it, game time preparation, it was just, you couldn't look past him. And, Bucks Twitter, for most part, they were getting criticized by a lot of people. Like a lot of basketball writers, national prominent basketball writers were saying, oh, Jason Kidd should be the coach. We see things that they don't. We watch every minute of every Bucks game. We analyze what he says pregame. We analyze what Jason Kidd was saying postgame. So, we were right on this. So I think we need to pat ourselves on the back here.
From WTMJ morning sports anchor Doug Russell on Twitter, John Horst issued a statement. Pull that up for you right now. He says, "We appreciate everything that Jason has done for the Bucks organization, but we have decided to make a coaching change," said Bucks general manager John Horst. "We believe that a fresh approach and a change in leadership are needed to continue elevating our talent team towards the next level, bringing us closer to our goal of competing for championships. Jason led a historic turnaround during his first season and would guide our team to 2 playoff appearances. He also played a meaningful role in helping to keep the Bucks in Milwaukee. We thank him for all of his contributions and wish him the best." Any reaction to that statement?
I don't want to be too stern, but Jason Kidd, don't let the door hit you on the way out, my friend.
Cold-blooded takes.
That's just how I feel. I soured on him pretty much after the year they went. I think they were like 33-49. They were god awful after they signed Greg Monroe, and it's just defensively they were so bad, and just the lack of offensive structure. The players suffered for sure. The players suffered absolutely, and I think Chris Middleton was at the brunt of a lot of this discourse and the lack of offensive system that the Bucks had. But like I said, I think we're going to see a fired up Chris Middleton for sure.
I think the Bucks are going to win tonight.
I would hope so, since they're playing the Suns.
Yeah, I mean, I guess whoever the coach is, I hope that. I guess, damn, that is some interesting news, some great news for people. I obviously know that the Bucks would never say this, but I honestly believe that it got to the point, even with the fan base, that management had to realize that this isn't working. And honestly, I think the whole #FireKid trend and all of you guys out on Twitter really actually made a difference in this, as the Bucks will never come out and say that. But I honestly think that it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see what details emerge from Milwaukee and what really set this off, because the Bucks game, they tip off in 3 hours?
Yep.
So there must have had to been something that was said or done today that really just, that was it, that it snapped.
Yeah. So let's give me your top 3 coaches, even if they're under contract.
Okay, so I do like Mike Budenholzer a lot. He'd be number 1 for sure on my list. If you can somehow get Steve Kerr, that would be amazing, but I highly doubt that, and I'm just throwing names out there. But 3, I think you discussed this earlier. I like Mark Jackson. I think he's learned a lot from his time in Golden State, and I think he's bettered himself. And he's very smart. He's a basketball savant, and I think he would be good for the Bucks. And a lot of Bucks fans like to compare Jason Kidd to Mark Jackson, but I think that's a big, big slap in the face to Mark Jackson.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely, obviously if you can get any of the top tier coaches, but I think Mark Jackson, Budenholzer, I think, with him, like you said, with the Hawks trying to go maybe in a different direction, there's definitely some availability there. I think even David Blatt could be a name that could be tossed around out there. Didn't really work out in Cleveland, but it wasn't really his fault necessarily. Brian Shaw, assistant coach, I believe, for the Lakers currently, right?
Yeah. Is
another name that's been a hot coach sometimes. Just looking at the list here, there's a lot of Mike Brown, even head assistant for the Warriors. Would you take another chance on Mike Brown if he was into that?
That's a tough one.
You look at Mike Brown, and he's been with some of the best teams.
Exactly. He's coached LeBron, he's coached Kobe, Durant, Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. So I think if you can get any coach from a tree of like San Antonio, Golden State, or like someone like David Fizdale, who's been under Eric Spoelstra, someone like that, I think you'd have to be interested in taking a look.
Yeah. Well, Bucks fans, this was our 2 cents on the news of Jason Kidd's firing. That's been confirmed since we've started the podcast. Kind of a lot of information thrown at you. If you want to converse with any of us, you can hit me up at Dylan Piccolo 35, or Andrew, I'm sure, would love to talk some Bucks with you at Andrew_Goodman 3. Big game tonight, I guess, against the Suns. Kind of see what happens. Don't look for too much change, I don't think, because of the short notice of the news. But the Bucks should probably win tonight, and we'll talk to you more tomorrow after the game. And thank you very much.
Our prayers have been answered. Bucks fans, rejoice.
Yep. All right, man. Well, take care and go Bucks.
Go Bucks.